The middle of the 19th century saw Americans moving westward. The vast expanse of the North American continent matched their optimism. So also with Adventism, with its New England roots. The movement's energetic leader, James White, reflected the times, moving first to New York State, then a short time later to Michigan. Eventually the movement expanded worldwide. Today, historic Adventist Village in Battle Creek, Michigan, brings to life 50 dynamic years in the history of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, from 1852 to 1902. Battle Creek, with a population of 1,000, was a small rural village in south-central Michigan when Joseph Bates, Adventism's apostle of the Sabbath, first visited the community in 1852. As a result of that visit, a peddler named David Hewitt and his wife Olive became the first Sabbath-keeping Adventists in Battle Creek. Soon, several others joined the Hewitts, making a small group who met weekly in the Hewitt home. In an authentic log cabin similar to the one in which the Hewitts originally lived, the story of Battle Creek's most honest man in town is told. It is little wonder that Adventism took root in Battle Creek, for the city has always been open to the people of differing viewpoints. Originally founded by Quakers, Battle Creek was an important stop on the Underground Railroad. Between 1840 and 1855, generous and caring town citizens helped an estimated 1,000 slaves to freedom. In 1859, as a resident of Battle Creek, Ellen White, Adventism's prophetic voice, admonished Sabbath keepers not to obey the country's fugitive slave law, which required that runaway slaves be returned to their masters. Today, the William J. Hardy exhibit showcases early African American Adventists. The display is located in the home of one of those former Underground Railroad travellers. In 1855, 4 Michigan Sabbath keepers invited James White to move the church's small printing operation from Rochester, New York, to Battle Creek. Neither the welcoming little community nor the young but expanding church would ever be the same again. A year after James and Ellen White arrived in Battle Creek, local Adventists helped the Whites build their own home on Wood Street. Their authentically restored house is now the oldest Adventist landmark in the city. The White family of 6, which included 4 sons, lived in it from 1856 to 1863. It was there that Ellen White first wrote out the Great Controversy vision, given to her in March 1858 in Ohio. That astounding vision depicted the ongoing cosmic struggle between Christ and his angels and Satan and his angels. Not only did it reveal in detail how sin began, and the central role that Christ's life and death played in resolving the sin problem, it also described God's ultimate solution to assure that sin will never rise again. Directly across the street from James and Ellen White's home stands the small cottage that was once the home of Deacon John White and his wife Betsy, the parents of James White. It was only after moving here during their retirement years that those 2 hardy individuals from Maine came to see the beauty and importance of observing the seventh-day Sabbath of the 4th commandment. Because so many Adventist firsts took place in Battle Creek, the city has often been called the cradle of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It was here that the movement's pioneers took the first halting steps that resulted in church organization. Many of these actions took place in the original 1857 meeting house, which has been replicated in historic Adventist Village. In 1859, the group adopted systematic benevolence, opening the way for the movement's few ordained ministers to be assured of financial support. On October 1, 1860, delegates chose the name Seventh-day Adventist and took the first steps towards incorporating the publishing work. The following year, the publishing house was legally incorporated. Also in 1861, the Michigan Conference, the fledgling church's first state conference, was organized, followed 2 years later by the organisation of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. On May the 21st, 1863, 20 delegates from 6 of the 7 state conferences then in existence met in Battle Creek to make the organisation official. At the time, the population of Battle Creek was about 3,500, approximately the same as the number of Seventh-day Adventists that then existed throughout the United States. About 2 weeks later, on Friday evening, June the 5th, 1863, in nearby Otsego, Michigan, Ellen White received a major vision on health. The consequences of that vision would revolutionize both the newly formed Seventh-day Adventist Church and the history of Battle Creek. Now, more than a century and a half later, scientific research has demonstrated that the Adventist lifestyle results in a longer average life expectancy and overall better health than that of the general population. In addition, Adventists operate a worldwide network of hospitals and clinics, successors to the once world-famous Battle Creek Sanitarium that had its beginnings in 1866 in a renovated house in Battle Creek. One byproduct of the Adventists' emphasis on health is the breakfast cereal industry, begun by health educator Dr. John Harvey Kellogg and his marketing genius younger brother, Will Keith Kellogg. The invention of flaked cereals by Dr. Kellogg while he was medical director of the SAN, as it was called, eventually led to Battle Creek's becoming known worldwide as the cereal capital of the world. Additionally, many of the doctor's health views were reflected in various types of exercise equipment that he invented or improved. Examples of his creativity are exhibited in the Dr. John Harvey Kellogg Discovery Center in the Village. Several types of his exercise equipment were used both in the White House in Washington, D.C., and on board the ill-fated Titanic. Modifications of some of the doctor's inventions can still be found in today's gymnasiums and exercise rooms around the world. Eventually, the Battle Creek Sanitarium, of which Dr. Kellogg was medical director for nearly 70 years, became world-renowned. Relocated to the village from its original site in Parkville, Michigan, is a small church that was originally dedicated on January the 12th, 1861. On that occasion, fully 3 months prior to the start of the American Civil War, Ellen White was given a vision regarding the pending war. She was shown not only that it would occur, but that it would be a long and costly struggle, and that people present on that Sabbath would lose loved ones in the war. As history shows, these predictions proved to be all too true. Besides the buildings specifically built or renovated to house early Adventist institutions, pioneer Sabbath keepers also often met in barns, those sturdy utilitarian structures without which farmers and others would not have survived. Both David Arnold's and Hiram Edson's barns in New York State served to host meetings of early Sabbath keepers in the 1840s. In Battle Creek, James and Ellen White's next-door neighbour, Jonah Lewis, built a barn behind his house. 3 times each day, that early Adventist would go there to pray. A barn similar in appearance stands today in historic Adventist village, a silent tribute to those long-ago multi-use buildings that helped nurture the young Advent movement. Battle Creek also holds claim to several other denominational firsts. The first Seventh-day Adventist College was established here, as was also the first elementary, nursing and medical school. Early on, those hardy Adventist pioneers came to understand the importance of educating the whole person, physically, mentally and spiritually. Since they believed that the purpose of true education and the work of redemption really are one, no sacrifice was too great for them, if it meant giving their children a Christian education. It was crucial to those committed pioneers that their children not just be educated for service in this world, but that they be prepared for wider service in the world to come. A rural 19th century one-room schoolhouse reminds visitors of education's role not only in the life of America, but especially in the ongoing success of the Adventist Church worldwide. During the half-century featured in historic Adventist Village, Battle Creek and Adventism were nearly synonymous for Adventists around the world, for it was an action by a General Conference session held in Battle Creek in 1874 that resulted in sending the denomination's first official missionary, J. N. Andrews, to Europe. Today, Adventists are found in more than 200 of the world's countries, still sharing their emphasis on health and wellness and education of the whole person, as well as their faith in the soon return of Christ. Around the middle of the 19th century, the citizens of Battle Creek welcomed a handful of Sabbath-keeping Adventists to their community. Today, historic Adventist Village continues that tradition by welcoming those of all faiths and cultures from around the world to come experience the Adventist story, to learn about a people who by their beliefs and lifestyle live to honour God while seeking to benefit the entire world through their health, education and other humanitarian efforts, coupled with their hope-inspiring message that Jesus is coming soon. Adventist Heritage Ministry also invites visitors to share the excitement of the Adventist story at its 3 other historic sites: the William Miller Farm, birthplace of the Advent movement in North America; the Hiram Edson Farm, theological birthplace of the Seventh-day Adventist Church; and the boyhood home of Joseph Bates, co-founder of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. For information regarding these sites and directions to them, visit our website at www.adventistheritage.org.